The miscalculation. The Zorath Empire had conquered 12 worlds without losing a single battle. Their fleets swept across star systems like storms, silent and unstoppable. To them, humans were only another primitive species waiting to kneel. General Vraxkol stood on the bridge of the Imperial dreadnought Bethune, looking down at the blue planet turning beneath him. His intelligence reports described Earth as chaotic, emotional, disorganized. A species too divided to resist. A species that surrendered easily. He predicted the planet would fall in 14 hours. The first broadcast went out across every human communication channel. Humans of Terra, surrender and you will be spared. On most worlds the Zorath had conquered. This was enough to break the will of entire civilizations. But Earth's response was wrong. Within minutes, governments that had once argued for decades united. The crisis forced humanity into something it rarely achieved: perfect cooperation. NATO, China, Russia, African and Asian alliances all connected on an emergency global line. The combined command formed in under half an hour. Aliens monitoring the channels were stunned. General, an officer reported, their nations are merging military protocols. They are sharing all classified data. Vraxkol dismissed it. Panic breeds confusion. They will crumble soon. But on the ground, humanity was not crumbling. In New York, the first Zorath landing squad descended in fire and thunder. According to projections, civilians were supposed to flee. Instead, they fought. Firefighters used rescue tools to cut through alien armor. Taxi drivers blocked streets with their cars to trap invaders. Elderly men smashed drone optics with metal pipes. Teenagers formed medical chains, dragging the wounded to safety. Vraxkol frowned at the incoming reports. Why are they resisting without orders? He asked. No one had an explanation. In Tokyo, a destroyed building collapsed on a group of civilians. Drones recorded the scene for tactical review. Even crushed under rubble, a woman with a broken arm crawled out, raised a piece of concrete like a weapon, and shouted at the alien troops, "As long as one of us breathes, Earth fights." The aliens reviewing the footage exchanged quiet glances. "General, their pain response is abnormal," a science officer whispered. "They continue fighting even after critical injury." By hour 4 of the invasion, Vraxkol's predicted surrender had not occurred. Instead, humanity had improvised barricades in every city. Street-to-street resistance slowed Zorath advances to a crawl. Snipers took down armored units. Civilians threw burning fuel barrels from rooftops. Underground tunnels turned into ambush points. And then came the most shocking moment yet. Zorath forces approached a major defense bunker near Berlin, expecting the troops inside to surrender as their walls buckled under plasma fire. The doors blew open, but not in surrender. Every soldier inside charged out, not with high-tech weapons, but with whatever they could carry: hammers, steel rods, broken machinery, knives taped to poles. Blooded, exhausted, half-limping, but advancing. Vraxkol watched the footage in silence. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something unfamiliar. "Fear. These creatures," he whispered, "they do not break." The turning point. The Zorath Empire had expected resistance. What they had not expected was defiance. By the second day of the invasion, confusion spread through every alien command center. Reports came in from every continent, all carrying the same disturbing pattern. Humans fight even when isolated. Humans protect injured strangers. Humans refuse to retreat even when surrounded. To Zorath logic, this behavior was irrational. Yet it was this very irrationality that was turning the tide. General Vraxkol studied the latest battlefield recordings, his mandibles stiff with unease. Entire human neighborhoods had transformed into defensive networks. Schools, warehouses, subway tunnels, all converted into fortified shelters. The more pressure the Zorath applied, the more fiercely the humans resisted. "What fuels them?" he muttered. "What keeps them fighting?" His officers had no answer. The lone soldier. On the outskirts of London, the Zorath encountered one of the earliest symbols of humanity's refusal to yield. Captain Elias Ward and his squad had been escorting civilians when their convoy was ambushed. His team was wiped out in minutes. Wounded, outnumbered, and alone, Ward crawled to an abandoned bridge overlooking the Thames. The aliens expected him to hide or flee. Instead, he made his stand. For 19 hours he held the bridge, using the terrain to his advantage. Debris became cover. Rubble became traps. A fallen street lamp became a makeshift spear. Ward fought with a fury the Zorath did not understand, a fury born from the memory of the civilians he had failed to save. When a drone broadcasted a demand for surrender, Ward's voice echoed over the river. "If you want London, you're going through me." He should have died in the first hour. Instead, he survived 19. The Zorath sent squads to capture him alive for study. Every attempt failed. Vraxcol watched the footage, transfixed and unsettled. How does one human resist an entire platoon? The answer came in the next report. Humanity unites. Across Earth, political borders meant nothing. Within 1 hour, a global ceasefire was declared. Rival nations shared satellite codes, weapon schematics, and experimental technologies. Human hackers attacked Zorath communication grids with improvised malware. Engineers modified captured plasma rifles using scrap metal and battery cells. Human creativity, fueled by desperation, evolved faster than any empire had ever seen. "General," an officer reported, voice trembling, "they are learning our technology, adapting it." Vraxcol felt his stomach tighten. Impossible. But it was happening. The first human counterstrike. In cities across Earth, coordinated human counterattacks began. Guerrilla ambushes shattered Zorath patrols. Snipers disabled command units. EMP bombs built from scavenged electronics knocked out heavy walkers. Wherever aliens advanced, humans reappeared from shadows, tunnels, and ruins. Relentless, unpredictable, unstoppable. In the middle of this chaos, the Zorath lost track of Captain Ward. They assumed he was finally dead. But Vraxcol refused to believe it. Something about the human lingered in his mind. Late that night, an encrypted drone retrieved footage from the London ruins. In the dim light, a broken figure crawled out from under collapsed concrete, still alive, still moving. "Ward." The general stayed at the screen, horrified. "These humans," he whispered, "refuse defeat itself." When aliens realized humans don't surrender. The Zorath Empire had expected their orbital strikes to end the war. On every world they had conquered, a coordinated attack on power grids and communication systems shattered enemy morale instantly. But Earth was different. When the Zorath unleashed their final shock operation, plunging major cities into darkness, they expected panic, collapse, surrender. Instead, humanity adapted. Within hours, electricians and volunteers rebuilt power lines using scavenged parts. Hospitals switched to improvised generators. Neighborhoods lit streets with candles, torches, and battery lanterns. People moved confidently through pitch-black alleys, delivering food and medicine, as if darkness itself fueled them. General Vraxcol watched these reports with rising disbelief. "They fight harder in the dark," he murmured. The Arctic Wall. Desperate to regain control, the Zorath launched a massive ground offensive at Earth's northern supply lines. Thousands of alien soldiers dropped onto the ice fields near the Arctic Circle, expecting to meet exhausted, demoralized defenders. Instead, they found a wall. Humans had built it from destroyed tanks, frozen fortifications, welded steel sheets, and chunks of alien ship hull. In sub-zero winds, thousands of soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, rifles steaming in the cold. The alien commander scanned the scene through thermal optics and hissed in disbelief. "They do not retreat," he said, "even from lethal temperatures." As the first Zorath wave charged, the humans didn't break. They didn't even flinch. The wind howled like a living creature, but their lines held firm. When alien armor cracked through the ice, humans froze the gaps again using improvised water cannons that turned bursts of liquid into instant solid shields. A Zorath lieutenant sent an urgent transmission. "General, they are using the environment as a weapon. They are turning the cold against us." Vraxcol felt the dread deepening. "Impossible," he whispered, but he no longer believed his own words. Sound as a weapon. Back in Europe, human scientists uncovered an astonishing weakness. Zorath's shielding vibrated under certain sound frequencies. When exposed long enough, the energy matrix destabilized. Human soldiers didn't hesitate. They brought speakers to the battlefield. Heavy metal music, screaming guitars, thunderous drums, blasted across ruined streets. The ground shook with bass. The sky trembled with chaotic rhythm. Zorath's shields flickered, failing one by one. To humans, the music was empowering. To aliens, it was terrifying. A Zorath squad retreated in panic as lyrics roared across the rubble. "We will not fall." Fear spreads through the Empire. Across the invasion front, morale among Zorath forces collapsed. Troops refused to engage human fighters without full mech support. Others attempted to desert. Officers whispered of curses and madness. Vraxcol stared at a galaxy map projecting Earth's resistance. This was no longer a simple operation. This was a disaster. They had underestimated humanity. Not their weapons, not their technology, but their will. Taking back the sky. Using captured components, human engineers built crude starfighters, small, unstable, but fast. Pilots, many with barely a week of training, launched daring assaults against Zorath ships. One human craft, out of ammunition and fuel, rammed itself into a Zorath destroyer. The explosion lit the night sky like a new sun. The message was clear. Humans do not fear death. Vraxcol stared at the burning wreckage. He understood now. Too late. The Empire had attacked a species that refused to break, refused to bow, refused to surrender. And for the first time in Zorath history, they were losing. The day the galaxy feared humanity. The Zorath flagship Vthuan had never been breached in its 1,000-year history. Its armored hull had survived neutron storms, solar flares, and rebel uprisings. The Empire believed it invincible, until humans boarded it. A stolen Zorath shuttle drifted toward the mothership under a forged transponder code. When it latched onto the docking ring, the aliens expected a maintenance crew. Instead, the doors burst open with a deafening roar. Captain Elias Ward led the charge. Despite injuries, despite exhaustion, despite everything he had survived, Ward moved with the clarity of a man who no longer recognized fear. Behind him stormed dozens of human soldiers, some limping, some bandaged, all burning with the same relentless fire. Zorath guards opened fire. The humans didn't stop. They fought through the corridors with alien rifles, scavenged blades, metal scraps sharpened into weapons. When a soldier fell, another stepped over them. When ammo ran out, humans fought hand-to-hand, using elbows, helmets, anything they could lift. To the Zorath, it was madness. To humans, it was survival. General Vraxcol watched from the command deck, speechless. Through the glass walls of the observation chamber, he saw a scene he could barely comprehend. Humans fighting even after losing limbs, using belts and torn fabric as tourniquets, refusing to stay down. "What are they?" an officer whispered. Vraxcol finally spoke, voice low. "They are a species that turns death itself into a weapon." The collapse of the Empire. Ward's team pushed toward the core chamber where the flagship shield matrix was housed. If they disabled it, Earth's improvised starfighters could destroy the command ship, and with it, end the invasion. Zorath officers sealed blast doors, rerouted drones, and activated internal turrets. Yet nothing slowed the humans. They fought as if time itself were their enemy. In the matrix chamber, Ward planted a hacked Zorath capacitor against the shield relay. "Earth doesn't kneel," he whispered, and detonated it. The explosion fried every shield generator on the ship. Alarms howled across the flagship. Above the atmosphere, human starfighters swooped in. Their weapons were crude, inaccurate, and overheating. But without the flagship's shields, it didn't matter. Missiles tore through the hull. Plasma cores ruptured. The Vthuan, pride of the Empire, began to fall. Across the galaxy, enslaved species watching the live feed saw something no one had ever witnessed. The Zorath Empire retreating. Mosi that terrified the galaxy. When human forces evacuated the burning flagship, they carried wounded Zorath soldiers with them. They bound their wounds. They saved their lives. Ward, barely standing, addressed the stunned survivors. We fight hard, but we don't fight to conquer. We fight so no one can ever try this again. This act of mercy shook the galaxy more than the war itself. Humans were fierce enough to defeat the Empire, and compassionate enough to save their enemies. No species understood that combination. None could predict it. All feared it. The final recognition. In a secured medbay, Vraxcol watched Earth's blue horizon as the sun rose behind it. He had lost his fleet, his empire, and his pride, but gained one truth. This world, he whispered, cannot be conquered. Humanity does not surrender. They endure. They rise. They destroy defeat itself. And as dawn lit the sky, the galaxy realized something it would never forget.